Hello, hello, welcome back, my friends. Welcome to another video, another live, another day supporting this wonderful football club, Manchester United, the best club in all the world. Sure glad we support Manchester United today. Could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. I'm honestly, like the poll says, not sure who to laugh at, though I see that the Liverpool is clearly who we all want to prefer to laugh at. But I still got to say, you look at that whole Spurs thing. They went from 17th last year, sacked the manager who got them 17th, changed managers, and they're still in 14th. Maybe Emeram deserves a little bit of credit for not keeping us in 15th. But no, seriously, it's just Spurs. It's who they are. They could change managers now. I don't think it's going to change particularly much. Spurs are just Spurs. They are who they are. And they've been on a downward slope. They just get more and more Spursy every single year. But Liverpool, slot, the unbeaten run comes to an end. 5 points in 5 games. What an impressive run that was for them. Both losing. And the table is wide open. And you start to go, you know, we could do something here. But not only that, could we just like throw a bag of money at someone really quick? just maybe, just to shore things up. I'm just saying, just shore things up. That's all I'm saying. Like, just, you never know, you know, maybe there's the tiniest iota of a chance. Maybe that somebody will be joining us this summer, you know, this window. Maybe there's an iota that we could just send a bunch of money over to one of these clubs and Baleba or Anderson or somebody we could get them. And it would make the rest of the season easier. But it's not happening, my friends, is it? It's not happening. Bar some huge late surprise, it's not happening. But I do want to talk about summer. I really do. I want to talk about summer. And I want to talk about Baleba and Anderson because I was having a convo with somebody, a conversation with somebody, a convo. What am I? Anyway, I was having a conversation with somebody last night, and then I was kind of yapping in Discord and shared some things that I'd heard, and then overnight there was an article, or sometime early this morning, there was an article that kind of confirmed some of it. And I was going, just maybe. And maybe I could understand why we're doing what we're doing if some of this is true. You know what I mean? Maybe I can understand why we're doing what we're doing if some of this is true. So we'll talk about that. At least we sacked our bald, fraudulent, underperforming Dutch manager. Some clubs just don't. Exactly. They need a wake-up call. Sack the bald Dutch managers. No more bald Dutch managers. No more. No more bald Dutch managers. Never again. You know, let them keep Slot. It's all good. Let them keep him. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake, right? Let them keep going with Arne Slot. He's a good manager. He's won a title. He's got credit in the bank. Let them eat cake. Just keep going. I'm sure he's going to turn them around, okay? I'm sure he's turning them around. So I wanted to talk about our Anderson and Baleba, and we will in just a minute. But I also wanted to talk about the table a little bit. I also wanted to talk about, you know, a few other things as well. I don't want to get too deep into the table. I also want to do a combined Arsenal United 11 just for the sake of fun and show you what I think, because I've seen some interesting things in there. So yeah, and a few more things on the midfield as well. But first, just enjoying all of the losses here. You know what's crazy about the amount of money that Liverpool spent on players? If you look at the amount of money they spent on players, they probably could have bought Leverkusen for the amount of money they spent on players this summer. I would bet. I would bet they could have bought that entire football club with the amount of money that they've spent. And I've thought about this a few times. Why don't we just buy clubs instead of players? You know, Nice is going for 190 million or something like that. Nice is going for 190 million. Well, why don't think about that. Like, just buy clubs. Let's stop buying players. Let's buy clubs. Okay? That would be my, next meta shift in the market of how you build a successful football club. Don't buy players, buy football clubs. It's that easy. And then you can keep doing the thing. Like, at some point, someone's got to consider that and say, we've spent $2 billion on transfers when we could have bought those clubs for $400 million, and then we would have had all of these. Don't know. Maybe. Maybe that would have been the case. I don't know. Just thinking. Yeah. What's the cost of Benfica? What's the cost of Sporting? What's the cost of clubs in these other countries? I'm just saying, why not? I mean, at one point, someone was saying Ajax you could buy for like 400 million. No, seriously, this should never happen. Obviously, like, this would be one of the worst possible things in football to see happen. But still, it is funny when you think about it. Like, that the players coming through these clubs, they'll sell them for more, over the course of a few years, for more than the club is worth. And it's wild to think about. Wild to think about. No. Look, I know this is what Todd Bowley's trying to do and all of that. I'm just saying it has a logic to it. It's just, I don't know. It has a logic to it anyway, but that's neither here nor there. So, right, then, let's actually get down to it. Can we buy Ajax and fire Ten Hag? He doesn't work for them. He works for, is it Go Ahead Eagles or FC20? I think it's FC20, isn't it? He's the sporting director. We could definitely buy FC20. Like, we probably have enough on the credit line to buy FC20 and then sack Erik Ten Hag again. That would be well worth the price for me. That would be really, really good. I think we should just do that. And then wherever he gets hired next, buy that club, sack him again. It can't be worth more than a 30-40 million or something like that. It can't. Like, just let's do it, let's do it. That would be my revenge tour if I had money. That would be it. So anyway, there you have it. Let's actually talk about some of the things today. And it's interesting times. Yeah, it's interesting times, my friends. So this is what I was kind of yapping last night, and I was saying that this was last night from me, and I was saying this is what it looks like. I have this is in Discord, my role as the administrators. We have Sir Jim next to our name, so that's why. So I don't even remember why my name has Big Brother here. But anyway, Baleba at 70-75. They may feel is doable. Just go for both first. That's the plan, I believe. Anyway, it was just sort of yapping late at night last night. Late at night for me, 8:46 local time. And I was saying that, from what I was starting to hear, there's a world where United are going for both Anderson and Baleba. And that's the reason why perhaps we're not spending in this window. We've been talking about this midfield rebuild that is coming. And look, the good news, the great news is that it is. The midfield rebuild is happening. The midfield rebuild is on. Is it a certain thing who we get yet? No. Is it a guarantee who comes in yet? No. But it is happening. And the money is there for it. And the money is set aside and it is available and it is quite plausible that we could get, possible and plausible, combine the words, plausible, that we can get a couple of players in the door, big players, and that's why we're not rushing into any sort of more short-term targets. Now, as far as I hear it, Baleba, feeling is he could be available for 70 million or so, potentially, around that range. And at that number, you get him, But also, and he's choosing United, but they also want to go for Elliot Anderson. Now, I think that the Elliot Anderson purchase would require United to get into Champions League as well. But if so, and it's 100 million, and you go buy both of them for 175, well, it's not that much more than you spent on Cunha and Mbeumo. And theoretically, it's the exact same strategy. Go get two of the best Premier League players at smaller clubs, blow your load on it, bring them to your club, and upgrade massively. Look at what it's done for us in the attacking departments. Even though Cunha hasn't totally got going, we went from, I think, the 18th rated front three last year, by the numbers, by the way, literally relegation level, to top three in terms of goals, front three, creativity, all of that, by doing this strategy in the front three. If we do it in the midfield, imagine the levels that we will go to. Imagine. This is what we should do. This is what we should do. This is the right idea. And yes, potentially we'll still need a third player. There's always that possibility. We still need a third player. But at the same time, if you get players of the level of Anderson and Baleba, and you get that Kobbie Mainoo contract sorted, well, even if Bruno leaves, that's a pretty tasty front three. Anderson, Baleba, Mainoo. If you go for more of a flat three and you're not, 4-2-3-1ing it up, that's a pretty nasty three. If Bruno does stay and you keep going with the 10, you've got Anderson, Baleba, Mainoo, Bruno, Mount. Like, that's a solid unit. You could say, well, we just need some Orozco. We just need some young players after that to fill things out. So, yeah, it's a very, very interesting times for us. And my understanding is that it is certainly believed that Baleba will be there for around 70 million. And that almost makes it not nailed on to happen, but it's a deal we can do. And if we can get Champions League and we have the money and we have the pull and we have the draw, we can bring in Elliot Anderson as a serious possibility as well. Look, why not? And obviously, this is where we're all getting ahead of ourselves, myself included here. But I look at it and go, hold on a second. Semenyo, Guehi going to City mid-season, fine. Yes, that looks like, okay, does City have this huge draw? But you have to bear in mind, there is a difference. Mid-season, City are still in the Champions League. City are making a push for a title in the second half of the season. All of that. Come summer, the situation is very different. The situation is very, very different for our competition. Look, we've not been a good club at buying tons of players in January, but we've always been pretty successful at convincing targets in the summer. Now, obviously not always, and we've missed out on some people here and there, but we have been able to get high top targets in the summer, especially from the Premier League. If we can get that Champions League position, I would certainly far from rule out Elliot Anderson. And I was thinking about that and going, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. We do need Anderson and Baleba. They are different types of players. There are different profiles of players. There are, different footballers at the end of the day. They have different traits, different qualities, different things that they bring to the table. Elliot Anderson, I think you could see him as a great deep sitting. He could be a kind of an everything in some ways. Baleba gives you more of that like pure defensive, deep sitting, carrying sort of work and all of that. But I mean this quite seriously. Like, I want you to think about it for a second. Okay. And this, I think, is one of the big positives of moving, moving Casemiro on and announcing it very, very early is this. Who's going to be a bigger draw than us? Like, depends how we end this season, right? I'm not stupid. We understand all of this. But who's potentially a bigger draw than us for this position? Look, Arsenal, maybe they want midfielders, whatever. They've got Declan Rice and Zubamendi, Odegaard. They're not going to be changing their spot much. You look at Arsenal, they've never been a huge draw. in competition wise. Only silly players like Gyökeres. Licha will be moved this summer, 2027 contract. And that's an interesting thought, by the way.
Licha will be moved this summer, 2027 contract.
Does his contract really end there, or do we have a +1? Liverpool, they've kind of got their midfielders, but they're also a bit of a mess. Might be, all of that. We could be more exciting to them. Chelsea, you're going to be competing with Enzo, Caicedo, and such. I think that we can beat them. Then you go to City, and you say, okay, so City is there, but City have never been the biggest pull. Like, I know what you guys are saying, but historically, even while being at their best, City have not had the biggest pull in football. Like, yeah, what City offer is huge wages. We know that. Some of it under the table, whatever, right? Fine. But they didn't get everybody. They haven't won like the race for every player they've been in for. It's usually quite the opposite. So look, that's the competition. But let's say we get into Champions League and Pep Guardiola is leaving. Would you not still argue that ours is a more exciting project in that respect than theirs? Wouldn't you still say that it is potentially a more exciting project than what they've got? I still think so. I would say this though. This is the other part about this interesting plan. They've got 115 charges loading. They've got all this stuff, people jumping ship. But this is what I would also say about this interesting plan. Is that, they also don't have like, but we know Baleba will already want to join us. Like that's like almost already on the table. What is Fabrizio saying here? Hold on a second. He says last minute United something. Not going for Ndidi, looking for opportunities in the last week. But he doesn't give us any names, does he? Yeah, we're not Ndidi, Neves, Loftus Cheeks. We're not signing those guys. But who is he saying that there's anybody that we are signing? Hold on. A good opportunity. They could be interested. Otherwise, they'll stay with the current squad. And then, so nothing. Okay. Nothing. Sorry guys. This is Discord brain rot. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. But anyway, look, the reality is that, I just checked the Fabrizio thing. So looking for if there's opportunities, but we don't particularly see any. So probably we're not doing anything at the moment. That's still the same idea. Still the same idea. But look, Baleba wants us. He's already sold on joining United. He wants United over anybody. Maybe it's the Cameroon, a lot of African United fans. Maybe it's the Mbumo connection. Who knows? He wants United. Certainly not the Onana connection. He wants United. So we know we can get Baleba. So it's like you've got that in the pocket. 70 million for Baleba. Okay. And then you've got, this Anderson thing. I think we can be one of the most attractive destinations in football, because despite the fact that I understand the negativity that people have sometimes about United, and then as United fans, you got to realize I've said this about this whole season, guys, it's been so over the top, the reactionariness to this season. It's been so over the top from United fans. We finished 15th last fucking season. We finished 8th the season before, and it was one of the worst seasons of all time when you look at it by the stats. We finished 15th last year. We are an up and up project despite all the negativity. And obviously this whole chaos with the manager in the middle of the season and all that, sort of flies in the face of that. Again, I recommend watching that video for the members that I put out. But the reality is, it is a very, very exciting and attractive project, especially if we can pull off a good end to this season and get ourselves back into the Champions League. It is a really, really, really exciting project, because much as on the face and on the outside and from United fans, we'll sit here and go, it's shit, it's bad, and overreact week in and week out because we've been in the mud for a long time. I tweeted this a few weeks ago. It was actually before Amarim was sacked, and people didn't understand it, didn't like it, didn't agree with it, but I'm just telling you it's a fact within football circles. There's a lot of rival clubs that are looking at United like the sleeping giant is awakening. And I mean that. And look, we could get smashed by Arsenal tomorrow. It doesn't change that. It doesn't matter. You know, there is a lot of positivity here and feeling that United are building something that is worth something, that is special. Santi says we are in for Mete at Rennes. We've talked about him. We talked about him earlier. We talked about him, Mete. Like months ago, we talked about him. Let me go see if he tweets. Is it a tweet? Manchester United showing interest if one of our attackers leaves. It's an interesting one. We have kept an eye on him and Jacquet. We were watching both at the same club at Rennes there. But seriously, I'm telling you right now. You know, look, yeah, we're gonna get like I for once I agree with you, Issa. I'm worried all the positivity we're gonna get absolutely demolished by Arsenal tomorrow or something. I hope not. I sure hope not. I don't feel like they're a team that can demolish us, but you know, whatever. But still, point being, there's a lot of people in football that look at United and think that's a team. There is a team being built there. There is a team being built there, and they say, okay, you know, they're going to the market big and all of that. And getting players in like, you know, like Cunha, like Mbumo, like having Šeško choose us, these deals that we've done, it has a knock-on effect. It has a knock-on effect, you know, that it says to other clubs, other teams that we're serious, that we are serious. We're serious. I'm being serious. You know, but there are a lot of clubs that are worried about United right now out there in football that think we are doing the right thing. They see some of the things that are done in there, you know. And look, like I said, the manager thing, it's like a little thing went off in the middle of the season, and it's like, damn, okay, that looks kind of messy. But I think that's why I'm saying how the rest of the season goes, because a quick turnaround from that situation and a strong end to the season that gets us back into Champions League would show a level of competency where people go, these guys know what they're doing. They really do. They know what they're doing. They're building something that's almost manager agnostic. They're not going to have these huge swings and shit like that, you know, left and right. But a big reason why it seems we're not making those moves in January is because there is a feeling we could pull it off in summer. And why buy mid players now when we could get those top players in summer? Why hinder ourselves financially for what we could do in the summer? Why? You know, why do that? I think that takes serious consideration, and that's something to think about. I think that's a fair argument. Like, look, if we don't sign anybody and we go on to get Champions League, which is possible. It's possible, my friends. Believe. It's possible. I'm on the believe train right now. If we do that, and it works out that we can get Baleba and Anderson this summer, it'll all be worth it. Because that will be the midfield rebuild that was promised. The midfield rebuild that was promised. If we pull this off, and despite passing up January, get our Champions League positions, which we can do. We've saved our money, we've saved our resources, and we're able to go drop $175 million for Anderson and Baleba and pick up the two best midfielder prospects in the Premier League. And the midfield rebuild actually happens. It'll all be worth it. The midfield rebuild that was promised will finally have arrived in serious fashion, something to believe in. And I think it could happen. I think there's a serious shot. I think there's a serious chance. I think that United could pull this off. Right now, I'm a believer. Ask me in 2 days if I'm still there. Will we? We'll see. But that is the idea. That is the plan. Now, we've got alternatives. We do. You know, Adam Wharton is someone we're still interested in. That will go for about 80 million. Maybe we could, you know, wherever, if Anderson goes to City, what about Wharton? Where's he going to go? You got questions there. We have other alternatives as well. Sadiki at Sunderland, as I've mentioned before, is definitely someone to think about. Alex Scott at Bournemouth, definitely someone to think about, keeping your eyes on those players. Obviously, we've spoken in the past about Buwadi and such too. There's other prospects, but if we're going for two Prem-proven like Cunha and Mbumo types, where last year we had like Semenyo and Cunha and a few other players on our list, then it'll probably be those three, Sadiki, Scott, on our lists as well. I feel like there was somebody else I'm missing. Mateus Fernandez, yep, good option there too. Someone reminded me yesterday as well of someone that I was of a center back, Nathan Collins. Nathan Collins would be somebody that United have definitely looked at in the past, whether they would revisit that. I really like Nathan Collins. I think he's a good center back too. That could be a nice big physical center back if we decided to get in that level. You know what I mean? But yeah. Look, no, Sadiki and Scott, I'm not talking about them as the top targets. I'm talking about those are good alternatives to, you know, I think we'll get Baleba almost no matter what. You know what I mean? I think we'll get Baleba. Like, I'm starting to feel like we're just going to get him. The question is if we get two. Do we get two midfielders, and who's the second one? And that doesn't mean that the second one couldn't be a more expensive one like Anderson. I'm just saying if we get two, could be something like Baleba. Today I feel Baleba +1. And the reason is I feel that Baleba is someone we'll just get. Like, that he will join us. There's no question about it. Now, if Anderson joins us, that's a question. We only look at Collins if we get rid of Maguire. Yes, exactly. But that's right, and that's what I'm thinking about here. So yeah. Anyway, I shared that because I was speaking to someone about that and thinking, wow, there's an interesting plan here. You know, and then I think overnight there was an article from Nathan Saul to Mail talking about Elliot Anderson top target, talking about Baleba at 70 million being the price and all of that. So, what time? So, you know, something to think about. You know, it seems like it's kind of all coming together potentially that we could make this happen. But what do you guys think? Look, Baleba, I've had my doubts watching him at Brighton, but then I watched him at AFCON a bit, and I thought, this isn't even the same player.
If we sign both Baleba and Anderson, I will travel to England and give a French kiss to Sir Jim, Wilcox and Omar, smiley face emoji.
Yeah, I mean, but look, who would have thought after 15th we'd get Cunha and Mbumo? Seriously. Nobody believed it. I remember that day when I was like, when I heard and said on one of these lives with you guys right here, I remember that day I said, I'm hearing with Mbumo might actually be going well. And then the next day, David Ornstein says Mbumo's decided to join United, and I was on the red carpet, and it was a big explosion and shit. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? You know what I mean? Like, who would have thought that? And then Šeško choosing us, and you know, and all of that. Who would have thought that would have happened before? We finished 15th. We lost the Europa League final to Spurs. Who would have thought we could have made that happen? We're still Man United, you know? We're still Man United at the end of the day. That's what we are. We were preparing for Delap and Dibbling. Yeah, like that's what we were thinking about. We're like, we've lost the Europa League. It's going to be Dibbling for 50 million, Delap for 30. Like, holy man, we were hurting. We were hurting. I underestimated Manchester United. Fabrizio told me not to. I did anyway. He said, don't underestimate Manchester United. I underestimated it. I should have listened. We all should have listened. And we found out soon enough that we shouldn't underestimate Manchester United. You know? So, that was pretty sick. Cunha prioritized us, was like, boom, I'm coming to United. And Mbumo, like a week later, goddamn. You know? But we didn't know with Mbumo that he was prioritizing us because he wasn't at first. We convinced him. So with Anderson, it could be the same thing. If Pep is leaving, if we're on the up and up, don't rule us out of these deals, man. Don't rule us out of these deals. You know, maybe it helps we have a more normal formation now. Probably not as much for the midfield. Probably doesn't make as big a difference now. But, you know, don't rule us out. The only thing that worries me is that we don't have a manager. Actually, the only part that worries me is that we don't have a manager. But I think Baleba joins us anyway. I think Baleba would join us anyway. Maybe Anderson will put till after the World Cup if he's going to England with England to sort his future out, and then we'll have a manager by then and all of that. So, you know, that's a possibility. But it makes sense, you know, spend our 175 there. If we can do that, then, you know, with sales and things, we might have other areas we can focus on. Carrick will have it secured by then. Yeah, maybe. That's one of the pluses, I think, to considering sticking with Carrick is to say, just if we get in Champions League, just say, we got our guy. It's Michael Carrick. He's a legend of football. He's Man United legend. He's a midfielder. Imagine Carrick whispering to Elliot Anderson. Could you think of a better manager, a better coach for someone like Elliot Anderson with his skill set than Michael Carrick? I don't know. I don't know that I can. I think Carrick might be like, do you think Elliot Anderson rates Michael Carrick as a footballer? That would be a question for you. As an English footballer, do you think that Elliot Anderson knows who Michael Carrick is and thinks he's you know, do you think? I'm just wondering. I'm just saying, you know? I got a feeling that would make for a good match, in my opinion, anyway. I think. We thought it'd be the winger from Dorgeles, who went to
the Austria club as well.
Yeah, both Geordies as well, right? They're both from the same place, from Newcastle, right? Yeah. I'm sure that Carrick is like a legend in Anderson's eyes, you know? I'm sure, in fact. So you never know. Maybe we can get Carrick to stick around. Anderson told me that Carrick is... there you have it, Matt G. There you go. Did Arteta have more experience than Carrick when he's appointed? No, less experience. But look, I'm just saying. I'm kind of hyped on this, and you know, I'm just thinking, man. I'm just thinking. And everything. But I'm ready to be on the positive train. You know, I've said this in recent weeks, and I was thinking about it last night, and I was like, I'm ready to be on the positive train. I'm just gonna stay on it again. I fell off the wagon, and I'm ready to be on it again. And I gotta say this about all the divisiveness in our, you know, in United fandom and in all of our communities and all of that is like forget even for a second the United fan thing for a second. All right, like if you're a millennial or later, no offense to some of you who were born earlier than that. You know, I'm not saying it's always been easy, but if you're a millennial or later, all right, forget being a United fan for a second, okay? We've been dragged out back, tied up, and beaten to shit over the course of our life by governments, economies, life, all sorts of things, okay? Can we at least just be like, you know what? We gotta be on the same side a little more. I'm not talking about politics here. I'm just saying in general, like things are rough. Things can get rough, okay? And the last 20 years, for those of you who are like my age and younger and around our ages, like life's kind of tough, man. Like, let's just all be on the same side a little bit here, okay? And we even have United to keep us together a little bit, because I mean I stay away from news and all sorts of things, and there's a lot of shit going on out there in the world today, and we've been through like shit after shit after shit, you know, for us, and let's just stick together a little bit. We don't have to fight over the stupidest little things. You know what I mean? We don't have to fight over the stupid things. Like, we got to blame the old people. They screwed this whole world up for us, and let's at least, and they got to see, like, more years than a lot of you of United being successful too. So like, they took all the good times. All right, let's stick together, tough it out, and hope we can bring the good times back. Okay. From our expensive, our inflated home prices, at least maybe we could hope to see some United titles, from our TVs that cost twice what they should, and our homes that cost twice what they should, and our, while we eat our eggs that cost twice what they should. No, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's just be it together. Cause these guys these guys screwed it all up. It's not politics. It's just life. Let's be together. You know what I mean? And some of you some of the people in here, I always remember, and of the United fandom that we speak with, never even got to see United be successful. Like, I've spoken to so many people that became United fans in like 2014, 2016, 2018. And I'm like, damn, man, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's been tough. Let's look at this little piece of news here I want to check out from Santi on this, because we've talked about this Mitte kid before. And I'm trying to remember, there was a report sometime back, months ago, because we were watching Jacquet and him, and he's a really, really top young number 9 prospect. Like, here's the stories. Says Al Hilal are insisting on Kader Mete. This attacker's been looking into Saudi Championship in recent days. Proof the idea of departure is gaining ground. Manchester City is showing interest if one of their attackers leaves. Now, I could see this being one of those like opportunities. You know what I mean? Because apparently this kid is one of the best young prospects in football when it comes to like a striker. Just something to keep an eye on, that, because we have had links to him before. He's played 600 minutes of football in France this season. He's got 5 goal contributions. That's pretty good. He's only just 18 in October. Top prospect, apparently. Very, very interesting one to keep an eye on. So yeah, let's think about that for a little bit. Xerxes. It would be like a Xerxes replacement who certainly won't be a striker. I don't know. We don't know what Xerxes' situation is, but could we go make a move for someone like this and let Xerxes go? Now, it gives us a little less experience right now. I would guess it's a move we would likely rather wait until summer to do if we were going to do something like that. But something we've got to keep an eye on, as certainly, because apparently this I remember when we looked into him last, this is a prospect. Like, this is somebody that's like a really, really good prospect, and I think we could take it. Both Michael Carrick and Elliot Anderson came through Walson Boys Club in Newcastle, famous youthful. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Somebody mentioned that, and there you go. So maybe the Carrick draw will bring us Anderson. Maybe the Carrick draw will bring us Anderson. You know what I mean? That would be nice. But yeah, it's interesting times. It is interesting times, my friends. No doubt about that. It is interesting times. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that Baleba Anderson thing here because it's gotten me feeling kind of good, man. The idea we could get both of those players. I know. I'm back where people are going to be saying you're swallowing the PR and all that. But I remember at the end of last January, I told people, I said, listen, I remember. You guys remember? I remember. That at the end of that January, I was like, I get why they're not spending money. And I did a video, PSR or PR, and I explained the finances and I explained the strategy. And I said, look, I get what they're doing, because if we don't end up back in Europe, they're going to need to spend money. And if they do this right, we will be able to spend money this summer. And it's bullshit, and we're not going to have any money, and we're broke, and we're this, and we're that, and you're just covering for them and all the accusations that fly around, right? Now, we had bought Dorgu and Aiden Heaven in that window, so we did spend a little bit. But I was saying why we didn't do more. And I remember in summer saying, look, the line is we don't have money and we could go get a striker as well. But I remember doing that at the end of January, and it was facts. I understand the financials of the club very, very well. I understand the plan very, very well. I understand what the club are trying to do, what Ineos and them are trying to do very, very well. That's why the manager thing was when it happened, was such an immediate, like, what the hell is going on here? Because it was such a departure from the plan, from the sensible planning that they've been doing, that I was like, wait, what? That's why I dug into it a bit more. Again, I'm not going to go on about it further. You can watch that video if you're a member, or join if you want. But it's not PR. It's a reality. I understand why they're not doing it, something now, or rushing into something now, if they believe that they could get a couple of these players in summer, these two players in summer. And I do think genuinely, I take my glasses off, I do genuinely think they believe they can. And
Palmer,
they might be right.
Baleba and Anderson, and we're winning it.
I don't know. We'll see about Palmer, but in theory, yes. Like I said, if we could skip out now and we end up getting those guys, they're gonna look like geniuses, and it'll be like the Cunha and Bumo coup, in my opinion. That level of stuff, and I just think it's possible. I mean, we were 15th, and we snagged Mbumo from Newcastle, Champions League club, Arsenal, Champions League club. A lot of clubs were in for him. We snagged him. Cunha as well was wanted by most of these clubs. Sheshko as well. Like, we did it. Fucking A. You know what I mean? So, with a strong end to the season, I believe, man. I believe. I think it's possible. I really, really do. I think it's well possible. Let's take a look at the table, right? And I don't want to spend too much time on this getting ahead of ourselves, because, I just hope the players don't look at the table. But take a look at it, man. I mean, day one down, we're in 5th still, 1 point with a better goal differential behind Liverpool. That means a draw against Arsenal would have us go over Liverpool in the table and move into 4th place. Now, of course, Chelsea, Brentford, and Newcastle have to play tomorrow. Brentford playing Forest, Palace, and Chelsea, Newcastle, Aston Villa. That Newcastle-Aston Villa one is tricky, but I almost expect Villa to lose, by the way. I think Villa are headed for a I don't know. I think Villa are headed for the fall off. They've been headed for this fall off for some time. It's starting. The cracks are starting to show. 2 losses in their last 4. Only 1 win. Draw, loss in the last 2. The cracks are starting to show. They've been scamming wins for some time. I think the fall off is on its way. But, I genuinely, there's a world where the only problem with Newcastle winning is we would probably fall behind them in the table, but we can get over Liverpool. So there's a serious world where we can end up, we'll stay in the top 5 after City and Arsenal back to back. And we didn't believe, I would not have believed that 2 weeks ago. Well, maybe not believed. I was prepared for the worst. I was prepared for us to be with everything that was going on, I was prepared for us to be in, 8th, 9th, or 10th after the end of this, and then hopefully turn it around. We could still be in Champions League positions after this Arsenal game. If we get a draw, I think we'll be in Champions League positions by the end of the weekend. That's what I think. If we can get a draw, I think we'll still be there. So that's my feeling at the moment. If we get a draw, we will be in Champions League positions. A draw or a win is enough. And I think we could pull that off. Again, you look at Arsenal. Am I the only one? I'm just not impressed. Obviously what they're doing is impressive, and the ability to grind out games and wins, of course it's impressive. They are such a hard team to beat. I was looking at the numbers, I think since Lammens started, We have 2 losses. They have 1. Like, they're so hard to beat. They've only lost 2 games this season in the league. They've not lost at the Emirates, I don't believe. They're so hard to beat. But they're also 2 draws on the bounce. They haven't been winning clean in the Premier League for a long time. And it's a game where you're just going thinking, we can get something out of this. And if we end up with a draw out of it and we're in top 5 after tomorrow, I'll be over the moon happy. I almost feel like it's going to be one of those games where we get a draw and we feel like we could have won. You know what I mean? But whatever. That's kind of how I feel it could be. We get a draw, but feel like we could have won, and we're almost disappointed. But we're gonna have to, shift our perspectives there on that. But look, they're tough. They are very, very tough to beat. Don't get that wrong. Don't get it twisted. They're a very, very tough team to beat. Obviously, what they're doing is very effective right now. But it's, like you say, it'll feel like it's gonna be something dodgy, a corner and things like that get it over the line. But man, the opportunity is there. And then you look again at the weeks to follow, the run that we've got after that. We play Fulham at home. Tough game. They're a good team on a good run right now, but we should be able to beat them. We get Tottenham. Let's all laugh at Tottenham. Ha ha ha. They're shit. We get West Ham. They're shit. We get Everton. Yeah, they're okay. Again, a game we should win. Palace, a game we should win at home. Newcastle, that's a tough one. That's one of our toughest matchups is Newcastle away, isn't it? Or is it? Is it away or is it out? It is away, yeah. That's a tough one. That's always been a tough one for us. But you look at the run of games and you say, we've been here before, where the run of games we think this is where we're going to win. That's going to tell us, though. I mean, we have the opportunity after this Arsenal game to have a good run of points. And all of that. And we've been in it. So these are the opportunities now under Carrick we got to take that we weren't taking under Amorim for the month of December mostly, where we just passed up too many of those games and opportunities. We can't blow them. But honestly, by mid-March, we could seriously have solidified our position. We really can. And God, we've got to. And it's pretty much confirmed as well that 5th place in England is going to get the Champions League. I mean, the English clubs are definitely the best performing. What is it in the Champions League right now? It's like all the English clubs are qualifying or something. Anyway, we're going to have the highest coefficient. 5th place is going to get it. I rate us over Chelsea for the rest of the season. Liverpool, off and on for them. But yeah. Yeah. So I just think we have a chance. And that means I feel we've got a chance at getting these midfielders we want and a chance at, actually turning a corner. Like, goals are carrying us. Big goal scorers, big attackers, fixing our ability to score goals is carrying us. And it should. And it's fixing our results. When we overhaul this midfield, man, we've never done it. We've never done it. I mean, we barely even did it under Fergie. We got a little lucky with some things, but especially towards the end. It's been 20. I would honestly say, thinking about it, correct me if I'm wrong and I'm forgetting something. I think it's been near on 20 years that we've needed to do a serious midfield investment. And I'm saying 20, like before Fergie retired and during the last years when he was still winning. We needed a midfield overhaul. We needed to go hard on that midfield investment and get really good players. We've never done it. I mean, we were still playing like with Carrick into 2015, and we bought old guys like the Midfield and after Sir Alex retired, and we didn't invest much during the last few years that he was in the job. And we've needed this midfield overhaul for such a long time. I think we will finally see consistency at this club. The thing we've never had, the consistency of performances, the consistency of, of levels. Yeah, Hargreaves and Anderson was supposed to be it. And it was we just didn't do it. And it's been bit and piece, little by little, buying, messy, weird, random players since then. You know what I mean? Since that time. And it's like, we've needed this. And it's no surprise that we don't have consistent performances without actually fixing the midfield in a serious way. And I look at how we did it in the forward line. Again, if we do the same thing in the midfield, we'll be there. We'll be there. We'll be there. And look, obviously, I still believe we need that center back, that big, like, fuck off center back, as I say it. But I think that we'll get consistency and performance. I think we'll still, as we push up to be a more aggressive team until we get that center back, we'll still leak goals, but we will be a much more consistent team, in the future. But look at the team we're building. Look at the profiles and the ages we're targeting. 22, 21, 23-year-olds, like top players and prime ages where we've got years. It's not a Casemiro where it's one really good season and then the wheels fall off, or an Eriksen, one good season and the wheels fall off. Like, that was our midfield rebuild, Casemiro, Eriksen. And you know what? What's crazy is it worked for 6 months. And then Eriksen got taken out by what's-his-face? Andy Carroll, was it? I don't remember who it was. Eriksen got taken out. Ankle goes. He's already old. Slows down after that. He doesn't have the same impact. Casemiro slows down after that. He doesn't have the same impact. But for a brief moment, we had one of the best midfields in the league for like 6 months. And we were winning every week. We had a brief moment where we had a midfield. You know what I mean? We had that brief moment, kind of like when we had Matic, Herrera, Pogba, when they could fucking stay healthy. For that brief moment, we had consistency in our performances. We've never had a consistent midfield outside of that. Never had it. So, gutted if Dow starts tomorrow. Well, prepare your gut, because he's probably starting tomorrow. I wasn't sure if Mazraoui would be there, but because he got a little time off, but he was there. He's there, which is good. Shea Lacey, I don't believe with the squad, which is kind of expected as it got full again. It's going to be full of seniors. Yeah. Let's look at this. Let's look at the Arsenal game briefly here and talk about it a little bit. Once again, want to say, make sure to get your picks in. I put my picks in. I went for Gabby Jesus, no goal. Martinelli, no goal or assist. Gyökeres, no goal, of course not. Not a chance in hell does he score. I went with Cunha to get something. I feel like he's going to be important in some capacity, and under 3 goals in the match. It's going to be like a 1-1, 1-0 type of game. That's what it's going to be. So get your picks in, and we'll be live before the match over here on YouTube tomorrow, and then live over on Big Up to watch the game as well. But the link is below to get your picks in there. Wager, I put in $5. I win 34 because I did the cheap bet where if 2 of mine miss, I still win. So, yeah. Let's do the combined 11. I want to tell you what mine would be. And I know that some people might not like this, but here's mine. Okay. I want to give you your respect. I think you had the best lineup and game plan for Arsenal out of the content creators. Well, let's hope the club aren't listening to the content creators like me. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. I thought we had a sensible lineup for the game. I thought we had a smart one. Here's my combined 11. All right. Benjamin Šeško. He's been better than Gyökeres at all-around game. Brian Mbeumo, he's definitely better than Saka right now. I don't even think it's close. Cunha, he's better than Martinelli. Dorgu's better than Martinelli
3
right
of
now.
Bruno, Anderson and Baleba.
That would be really, really good. Really, really good. That would be great. Bruno in the 10, definitely better than Martin Odegaard. Deep, you're going to have to go with Rice and Zubimendi. Some people are going to hate me for saying that, but their performances have been good. You got to go with their center backs as well. You got to, and you got to go with David Raya in net. He's still better at the moment. And this is without getting to the fullbacks. This is the funny part. Like, I think this is fair. Like, I would take our whole front half and their whole back 5 here on them as a comparison. Like, I think that's fair. At fullbacks, I don't even know who their left back or right back is now. Timber? Is Timber their right back? I don't know. But I don't know who it is. Timber probably takes right back. Yeah, probably. But I would take probably Shaw or Dorgu on the left, whoever it may be. Let's say it's Shaw. I'm taking Shaw as the left back. Timber's pretty good. But this is it for me. And it kind of goes to show. Saka scored like 1 goal in 18 months from open play. He's fallen off an absolute cliff. An absolute cliff recently. Mbumo is... Ahmad's better than him. Mbumo's better than him. Mason Mount's probably better than him. You know what I mean? I'm taking that, you know? So it is funny because, like, you look at it and it's kind of, this is how I feel the match is going to go. Is our attacking unit able to penetrate their defensive unit? And then, or are they going to set piece us to death with goals from these big giant guys off of corners? You know what I mean? Like, that's the tale here. You know, that's the tale of the game right now. Can our attack beat their defense, or will their defense beat our attack? Because their offense isn't going to beat our defense. That's the funny part. Like, their attack isn't gonna beat us, in my opinion. I think it's gonna be their defenders that beat us. And I think this is what makes for a pretty even matchup. I think it makes for a pretty even matchup. And that's why I think it's tough. It's a little scary, you know? It's a little scary to me. But this is the combined 11. This is how I would put it in like a 4-2-3-1, which I think makes most sense for combining the two teams. That's how I would put it. You know? This is it. Their defense versus our attack. That's the story of the game. Who wins that battle? Can our forwards outdo their defenders? That's who's going to win. Whichever unit of 6 wins that game, 5 outfielders, right? That's going to determine the game. You know? That's going to determine the game. Right now. So, we'll see, man. We'll see. We will see. But best attack versus best defense, unstoppable force. Exactly. Like, I worry, though. I tell you, that's why I'm a little worried, okay? Because if it's in other sports, I'm usually taking the defense. You can tell me I'm wrong about that, but, like, let's say you watch the NFL right now. I could tell you for a fact it's the defenses that are winning these battles. The defenses are winning these battles. They're making the attack look like bums. Week in and week out, it's the better defense that's winning. But that's NFL. That's a different sport. In football, I think actually a better attack is better than a better defense, but I don't know. I just don't know, man. I'm nervous for this because in one-off games like this, that defense could just squeeze you in these tough league matchups. They can just squeeze you, man, and it'd take you out of your rhythm and shut you down and just grind you to death. But look, we weren't expecting anything from these two games. I'd be over the moon with the draw. But it's 50-50 to me. Like, it's such a 50-50 game. The problem I think I have is this. If we go behind, I don't think we can come back against Arsenal. If we go ahead, I think we'll win. If it's close, then whatever. You know what I mean? I think with both teams, it's like first goal wins type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you get that first goal, I think you win or draw the game. Whoever scores first, I don't think we'll lose that game. It'll be that kind of game. If they score first, I just don't see us coming back. It's so hard to score against them when they don't want you to. That's how I feel. So, like, to me, it's like, I'm just going to be like, you know, what was so frustrating in that opener against Arsenal that we played is we were playing well, and then we concede that shit goal. And I just knew from that point, I was like, we're just not going to score. It just doesn't feel like we're going to score today. Like, that was all I wanted. I was like, just don't go behind early. Don't go behind early. Please don't go behind early. That's all I got to say from this United team. If we can go into halftime level, I think we win the game. As long as we don't lose the first half, we win the game. That's how I feel about it. If we can be ahead or level at halftime, we win this game. They're so good at that deep block when they need to be and just safety netting their team. They're so good at it. We just can't go behind. So no early goals. If at halftime we're level, then I put money on us in the second half of that game to win. That's how I feel. Yeah, Liverpool away start. Exactly. We need something like that. An early goal, knockout punch right from the get-go. They're not ready for it, and bam. From the rest of the game, they're fighting, they're struggling, they're overcommitting, and then we can win. That's how I feel. Yeah, our attack's definitely gotten better. But that's also why I'm thinking, like, again, I think it's going to be a bit of a different game to try to score in than the City game. I don't think we're going to have the same spaces. I don't think we're going to have the same everything. I hope there's some small changes against that team. I just do. The thing, Naveen, is that with Šeško is like, will Šeško lose the battles against Saliba and Gabriel? Maybe. But will he force them to commit and potentially make those spaces for Mbumo for a loose ball to be sent in through? Things like that, potentially. I think it's more about the threat. It's more about the threat. But yeah, that quick fire Mbumo goal early on would... That's what we need. That's what we need. We need it bad. I need the shrug. I need the arms out. I need the shrug in the first 15 minutes. We need that. We just need that. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about in recent days? Anything you guys want me to talk about? Anything you guys want me to cover? These long weeks, I've been thinking, I know there's probably more stuff that I could talk about, but I've been just having a little bit of like dryness and figuring out the subjects and things like that. But is there anything else you guys want me to look into, break down, talk about? Any requests, things like that? Let me know, because I'll put some things together. There's a lot of stuff I can look into. I need to do a new video on... Okay, all right, okay. That was I should have known better. I need to do a new video on who we're looking at on the different positions on our priority targets, narrowing those lists down a little bit more. Oh, Amram, this thing on Amram and Kabi's contract, all right? I don't think that's true. In fact, I would almost be certain that it isn't true. Okay? I've never in my life heard that. Listen, there was a point where a deal with Kabi Menu was close. I remember doing that. Will I ever do watch-along streams? I do watch-along streams every single week for United. I'll be doing a watch-along tomorrow on Big Up, and I'll be live beforehand, and I'll send you the links. I don't think that story is true. I don't know why that's said. Nobody else has said that. In fact, the exact opposite. For example, here, Simon Sohn talking about, obviously, we got this whole brief about United resuming talks with, wanting to resume talks with Kabi. Again, that'll happen in the next week or so. There was no agreement. And you know what I'm saying? Like, for one, I don't believe that they would have agreed a contract while Lammram was here and he vetoed it, because that's not really how it worked. They wouldn't have opened talks without his approval in the first place in that case. Like, it doesn't actually make any sense. They didn't give that kind of transfer power regardless. But look, the idea that there was an agreement on a contract, I think, is a strong stretch. I had good info on it at the time from last year, from what I recall. And there were talks, and there was a point it felt close. But I don't believe it ever progressed to actually having an agreement. There was some talk. It's weird, though, because there was actually talk from, I think Laurie Whitwell once said that earlier, when Ashworth was here, they had basically reached agreement, and then they ended up not following through on that. But I don't know. This is just a weird one here. But I don't know, man. To me, it feels weird. It feels like it's just an attempt to blame the whole situation on Amarim when he's not even here and has no right of reply from someone. But unless someone else corroborates that, I've definitely never heard that they reached a full agreement on a contract. It's possible they reached agreement on some part of it, but I never, ever heard during that time that they reached agreement on a contract. And I was one of the few people reporting that they were actually in talks and having active negotiations over it. So I'd be really surprised if they had reached agreement and nobody knew about it, because we've only seen the exact opposite, that there was no agreement. It was never reached, all of that. I mean, that's Simon Stone. There's other people saying that. So if I'm wrong on that, so be it. So is like everybody else. I mean, I found something from David Ornstein saying they hadn't agreed a contract last summer and repeating it many, many times. So if that's a scoop that absolutely nobody had and it's just a throwaway line in an article, that would be really shocking, because it's been reported by virtually everyone that there was no agreement. So I don't think that that's true. I can't see that being true. And I'm not intending disrespect, because Simon Jones put a lot of quite good pieces and information out there, but he's the only one who said it. And I'd be really, really surprised if it were true. But if it is, I'd be wondering how the hell that even ended up in a situation where you gave the manager the ability to veto a contract. And why would you enter negotiations without the managers? Like it just, that would be really weird. It would just be really weird. It would just be really weird. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me in that respect. What's the max we can spend this summer without Champions League? Well, you know what's actually a little harder to answer about that now, CMC, is that there's no PSR. The max we could spend in terms of regulatory limitations is like 350 million. That's not me saying we have a 350 million budget, but I already did something on this, because with the removal of PSR, it's more how much are they willing to spend? And by willing, there's other factors in that. How much are they willing to go in and load up that credit line? How do they structure deals? How much cash is available? Questions we can't quite answer as of yet. Those are harder to answer. Maybe the next financials will be more revealing, and I'll do something on that. We're getting our. I need to reach out to him. We should do an academy thing again for sure. Yeah. All right. Let's leave it there for today and call it. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you all hanging with me. I appreciate all the love and support. I appreciate everything. Make sure you follow me here. Make sure you follow the socials. TikTok at Muppeteers. Instagram at UTD Muppeteers. The links are all in bio and things like that. We had a couple of TikToks do like over 1 million something views. It's been, which is weird, because it's a small one that I hadn't started for until like a year ago. Started actually posting. It went crazy. I will be live for the watch along tomorrow on Big Up. I'll be live here beforehand for lineups to discuss team news, all of that. We pretty much know who will be in the squad. We don't know the starting 11. So make sure you follow me here. Follow me over on Big Up. Follow me on the other social channels. And yeah, just appreciate you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And we'll be back for tomorrow's game. And with all the nerves in the world, because the opportunity in front of us is huge. And I want to keep this positive feeling going. I don't want the doom to return, my guys. I don't want a doom again. Let's just be happy. Okay. See you later, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. Peace. Oh, thank you, Dui Asialieri 8426 for joining the membership. It just popped up on my screen, so I apologize. You did it right at the end, but thank you for joining. Appreciate the support. Enjoy the video posted yesterday.